All proceeds from this series will go to Samaritans. Donation link in the description. Hey there, my name is Ruin and welcome back to the Fazlore Podcast. Today I'm here with Lucky.
Hello, I'm LuckyGamerVT. I am a Twitch streamer, mainly. I play DBD, but I know a bit about Five Nights at Freddy's lore.
And today we'll be covering Ultimate Custom Night. Ultimate Custom Night. What was Ultimate Custom Night? So, Lucky, how would you describe Ultimate Custom Night? Like, in just summary, how would you describe it?
All of the FNAF fans' wants and dreams from every single FNAF game that came out so far, which was Sister Location, FNAF 3, FNAF 2, FNAF 1, and Pizzeria Simulator.
Yeah?
With all the characters there. Even the rock stars, the mediocre melodies, Trash in the Gang, even helping.
I love Trash in the Gang. Best part. Yeah, it was definitely like, it was kind of odd to suddenly return completely back to the Office style, but it kind of made sense, like all the different offices being a reference and it kind of being like a homage to the original games, whereas like FNAF 6, Sister Location, and all the games after that were kind of like trying to adapt to a new genre.
Yeah.
Just,
very it is very good with the nostalgic factor. It definitely brought back a lot of memories for a lot of people. I also enjoyed it in terms of like the like overall chaos of it. It felt a lot like FNAF 2, with there being 50 animatronics. Like in FNAF 2 there are 10, so it's kind of returned to like that type of form, but it also like brought in some smaller new mechanics for other animatronics, and also brought back some older mechanics and mixed them all together in a nice way.
It was quite funny as well. Like, definitely it carried on the humor from FNAF 6. It's something like the Trash in the Gang having the friggin' like air horn going instead in your face, going doo-doo-doo-doo, and it's just that in your face.
Yeah.
That's quite cool. It's like, yeah, it was unique. I think it was definitely a really fun one to go into, but also it's the hardest FNAF game to date, I believe, to try and do the 50-20 mode, and not a lot of people have actually completed it overall. Have you finished it? Have you completed it?
Me? No, I've not personally played through any of like the Five Nights at Freddy's games. I've been meaning to. It's just I'm super heavy into the FNAF lore, so like I never really like had like a chance to like play it, especially since like I was into it when I was really young, so I never really played the games. Though I do know a lot about like certain strategies for 50-20 and other things.
I mean, I haven't beaten it, but I just googled it. It's only been beaten about 300 times across the entire FNAF community, and when it's a free game across multiple consoles, that's crazy. Yeah, I haven't actually. I've confessed this before. I haven't actually played them myself either, other than Secret Mimic and like a little bit of FNAF 6 during a charity stream, because it's like, I'm the same as you. I've like grown up watching Markiplier and like all the PewDiePie and stuff, all playing it over time. So it's really weird to finally be playing it myself. It's really odd.
Yeah, it's definitely quite a different beast when like you're playing it compared to when you're watching it. So.
It's a lot scarier. Like, you get jump scared in other ones, but also the kind of YouTubers tend to lend towards like comedy. Like, I know I did when I edited Secret Mimic. It was kind of, I was scared absolutely the entire time, but I edited it to be more comedic, because also it's kind of frustrating after a certain point, even in classic FNAF games, because it gets a bit repetitive after a bit, or it gets a bit like annoying. So I feel like it definitely was kind of different to be playing them versus to be just watching them.
Yeah, after a while you understand the games get a little bit like monotonous in terms of like their gameplay style. Then FNAF 1 is just, you know, light, flip camera up so you keep Foxy at bay. You normally want to keep it on cam 2 because you can stall Freddy.
Yeah.
Actually, that is a thing is a thing instead of a FNAF Ultimate Custom Night.
Mm.
You can camera stall all of the plushie animatronics and Freddy. And
Mm.
I think also Jacko Chica. I might be misremembering, but there's like multiple animatronics you can camera stall.
I mean, I was quite impressed by how Scott did it, because having 50 animatronics having different mechanics and then also making it so you can beat it is crazy. Because I mean, if you watch like let's plays of people doing it, it's like constant flick camera, click this, click that, dude look away. It's like chaos. You literally die if you don't know what you're doing. You die within seconds on 50/20 mode. It's crazy.
Although that also comes to the case of when you watch someone that's actually like super good at 50/20, they don't ever like flip up their camera. They wait until the ventilation's about to reset. They'll flip the camera up and then pop all the vents, and then they'll get a whole bunch of Faz coins, and they'll basically buy like the plush that they need.
Yeah.
It's an animatronic in the hallway.
Oh wait, you can buy a plush and it stops an animatronic.
Yeah, it stops Circus Baby, Nightmare Mangle,
One of the many mangles.
and it also stops Nightmare Bonnie. Those are all three of the plush animatronics.
Oh, I did not know that. I mean, I use Foxy a lot. I know Foxy can be helpful. Like, pretty sure even if you're not running him as a character, his parrot still comes and flies over to you and offers you a trade. But also, BB made me so mad because I was trying to get Old Man Consequences on stream, which, as you know, is just run him at 1. But she was constantly coming in with her, like, silly little song and spawning animatronics in, and it completely ruins the run. Like, it's so annoying.
Yeah, DD and RXQ are both they basically try and shake up the night if like the night's maybe too easy. DD will just be like, "Oh, I'm gonna spawn on all these things, it'll be fun." Like,
it'll be fun.
It's not fun because you don't know what she spawns in. Because things that can really screw over the night. Like you might get like Afton all of a sudden, and then you have to pretty much stop because all of a sudden, and then like he'll just like insta kill you because he has like a rush. And that's basically him for the entire night.
Yeah. And that's the thing.
So,
it was just kind of like annoying because a lot of the way you strategize for Ultimate Custom Night, if you're just trying to get the 1,000 points to get like the storyline each time, all you have to really do is just like target it. Like first go for the ones that don't actually cause harm, it's a distraction. Then you start adding characters like Afton to the mix because all you have to do is just deal with him once and that's over. So if you're then doing a run like that and you suddenly have someone who's gonna like charge down the hall at you, it's not what's needed.
And there are some animatronics that interact differently compared to others. Like you have Scrap Baby, where you basically have to zap her to make sure she doesn't like attack at all. Then you have Funtime Foxy, which Funtime Foxy you have to look at that camera at the exact certain time. That's why people normally death coin him. Which is surprising because inside of FNAF world, Funtime Foxy was actually just like a fixed mangle, but then Funtime Foxy turned into a different character. That's always like the question that I've had. It's always been really weird because instead of Ultimate Custom Night, it's for sure like like the assisted location character, which I know came like after like Ultimate Custom Night, but still, they gave Funtime Foxy a male voice in this game, and then Mangle has the female voice, so you for sure know that they're different.
It was quite an odd one, but I suppose part of it is also because who are we playing as? Because Michael, for example, might see things differently than William. Like William might see, for example, Springtrap, the suit. William might see the suit as more powerful or more horrific. That was his moment. Whereas Michael might see it as more menacing because that's his evil dad, his evil child murderer dad. So, what was the law at the time? Yeah, the law at the time. Do you personally believe it's William, Michael, or Henry that's the protagonist?
I definitely believe that it's William Afton. Especially after the recent, like FNAF chapter came to Dead by Daylight, where he basically confirms it when he says the darkest pit of hell is open for business, which normally inside the Entity's realm, he takes you before your death. Even if instead of like the lore inside the game, it's basically taking him after he's done inside of like the back room, the secret room.
Yeah, kind of like that switch over.
Yeah. But it still technically confirms that he does know what happens at the end of, like, you know, FNAF 6, which does equate to him knowing about Ultimate Custom Night.
That makes me happy, though, because that means that in his last moments, he heard Henry saying to him, the darkest pit of hell is open to you. Like, he heard that before he died. That is such a cool moment. Really, like, a big fuck you.
Is open for business.
Literally. Yeah, I mean, because obviously at the time, we had limited references. We didn't know about Glitch Trap and stuff, so it really narrowed down to the three of William, Michael, or Henry. But I think some people didn't believe it was William because we were seeing Springtrap and Scraptrap. But if you like kind of believe into the theory that this is either a personal hell or some kind of like coma state, it's kind of like it doesn't really matter that you are there.
Because, I mean, technically it's a darker reflection of himself. He's seeing himself more destroyed and, like, you know, that would be terrifying to, like, you know, see, like, yourself in, like, a really destroyed state, which is another thing with, like, that, is that, in terms of, like, lore at the time with, like, MatPat's theory and those types of things, they're basically saying, like, you know, like, even, like, I think at the time it's Cassidy, or at least that's still like the working theory that like game theory was going through, with like Cassidy being like the big main one.
Yeah, it's what I personally believe still. I still personally believe it's Cassidy.
Yeah, Cassidy basically was like, oh, look at all this bad stuff happening to you. You see, you know how it feels now, Afton. You know, that type of thing.
Yeah.
So
it is creepy, but like as well, kind of disproving the whole concept that he can't see himself is the fact that both Springtrap and Scraptrap are there, and they are both William Afton. So regardless if the like player is William, there are multiple William there, so it kind of removes that as an evidence point. Like clearly this isn't reality. This is either some fever dream or like his own personal hell, which is the most likely one.
And it still works because I think William has seen most of these animatronics. I think the only ones that are technically ones that I don't believe that he's seen, although maybe I'm not as well versed in certain little branches of the FNAF lore, is maybe like Ennard, because Ennard technically never saw Molten Freddy. I know he's for sure seen because he's like in FNAF 6, but
yeah,
I feel like the only character I feel like you might not really know too well is Ennard. And I think there might another one might just be Nightmare and Fredbear, although technically they're like with like the little device that he puts inside all the animatronics that you see in Sister Location, that like, you know, basically like they mess with your brainwaves and make the animatronics look more dangerous than they are.
Yeah,
that was one of the theories from the time. So,
yeah, the illusion discs. That was there was definitely one on Freddy. Yeah,
if I remember, as a reference to I think it's inside of the Closet series.
Yeah.
Like, closet. Or the third closet that I know for sure.
Fourth closet. Yeah, I've read them through. So the ones, I'm not gonna lie, so I think it shows up in the middle one, the twisted ones. But the whole concept of illusion disc really freaks me out, because the ones in the book appear at the end of your bed, drag you into them, and then bury you alive. Like they were really freaky. I mean, the fun times are scary in the fact they trap kids, but the idea that it's appearing in your house to bury you alive is so horrific. I mean, at the time, I think it definitely was set up as Williams, but there was enough evidence to say Michael or Henry could have been, because Henry is the only one that probably saw most of the stuff, because, and you know, it could have been him repenting everything he did and everything he contributed to, but I think Michael, other than William, had the strongest argument.
Voice lines that definitely contradict that theory, which is the marionette will say, like, you know, the others are like animals. I am very aware, though. Which, why would she say something like that to her father? You know, you'd think about that.
Yeah, it's a bit of like it's such an odd line. Like, she doesn't like her dad anymore. To be fair, her dad did stuff her into an animatronic.
Uh, well, technically, the security puppet, like, I think, because after the mini game, the security puppet will go outside. It'll be raining, so the machine's gonna get like all destroyed, dysfunctioned, and then it cradles Charlie, and then like I think like her soul like melds with like the robot, basically like taking it over.
Yeah.
Which is why even like she says the others are under my protection, because like basically she's protecting the other kids that are inside of the other robots.
Yeah, she kind of led their spirits.
Yeah, in the minigames in like FNAF 2 and 3, like in the minigames in FNAF 3, William like takes them apart, and there are 5 spirits, but he only breaks 4 robots. So, which is normally like, you know, like it's Golden Freddy, like, you know, the final spirit. But technically, I mean, I think at least like the implied thing is that the marionette is there even protecting them, which is maybe even why like he goes inside like the springlock suit to like protect himself.
Yeah, I mean, because even if the animatronic souls weren't there, I believe in FNAF 3 is the one where we see William get chased into the actual springlock suit, because it's feel like it's very clear that at least the spirits were there. If not the suits, it was if not the suits, it was at least the spirits kind of harassing William, going after him. So whereas most of them were just blocking the door, whereas it was probably actually Charlie herself chasing down the William at that point to lead him to hide in the suit.
Yeah.
I think, again, Michael was quite a strong case, because it would make sense that the animatronics were mad at Michael. It would make sense because obviously they might have mistaken him
as the purple guy, because he's basically like a rotted corpse because of the remnant left over inside of his like body.
Yeah.
So we technically didn't know that it was like called remnant. We had like ideas and like theories, of course, that it was called remnant, but it was like only in the book series, and we didn't know if it was canon to the games. But we knew that like, he came to life at the end of the sister location minigame.
Yeah, I feel like it was Agony at that point, because I know it's Remnant now, but I believe it was originally called Agony because that was like the agony they felt before death, and then got put into the suits, and then that's how it kind of worked.
Yeah. I know Remnant is the exact term for mixing metal and the soul of like, you know, a person. Which it feels really weird to know that a spaghetti monster was inside of a dude for a long time. And, like, you know, he walked around normally for at least, like, I think it's, like, 4 or 5 weeks before, like, he actually fully decomposed.
Look, he was just walking
from, like,
along.
Inside out. Yeah.
I'm surprised.
I'm just really confused how, like, he survived. Because I think they literally took over, like, his innards, which is why he's so rotted and, like, you know, disgusting. Because technically he doesn't have, like, his actual motor functions, but he lived. Because at the end of the minigame, it says, you won't die, you won't die, you won't die, and then he gets back up.
It's the way he just stands up as well. Like, he looks completely normal. He's walking, throws up the spaghetti, and then kind of just, I don't know, he kind of snakes back upwards again, and he's still going. It's so odd. I feel like, as well, I remember the fourth closet book in general really freaked me out. But the whole idea that Baby was a machine that was slowly replacing Afton's inner parts with metal parts was really freaky. Like how he was being surgically taken apart and having his like pieces replaced so he could stay as long as he could, and he was doing that by using the metal parts of dead children was odd to say the least.
I don't know the most about the books, but I know like the thing between like the books and the games, so I know like, how they connect at least. The thing I know about like Charlie and like the fourth closet and that type of thing is that like she was actually like a series of robots.
Yeah, so basically the 4 closets were different stages of Charlie's life. So the one in Twisted Ones who supposedly died and came back was the 3rd closet. Baby was the one in 4th closet, but what she was doing is she was taking a small part of Afton out every time surgically and then replacing it with molten parts from a mass of the original 4 animatronics. Like he melted them all down into an amalgamation and was taking parts out and putting it in, and that's why he was nicknamed at one point the Afton amalgamation, I believe, because it was theorized that he potentially, like the books, had the metal of the animatronics in him, and that's what kept him going. I don't think it was necessarily canon now, but it did have basis then.
I can definitely see that. That seems like a very strong possibility.
Yeah. I mean, it would make sense why he was melting down the animatronics, because we never really had a strong answer as to why that happened. Like, even thinking back, I don't know what the answer would have been at the time, other than melting it down for the remnant for like experiments and stuff. Because he just walks in.
At the time, we didn't really have anything to go off of. We definitely have stuff now for like why he melted it down, but for sure at the time we have nothing. I mean, I can't really think about like anything specifically for why he would melt those down at the time, because like we only have FNAF 1, 2, 3, 4 sister location and FNAF 6, which don't really have that much in terms of like the overall remnant. Like we have Springtrap coming back to life, which is like it can be considered for that, but that's like a small point.
Yeah, and a big part of the reason why each episode of this series I'm having a segment of what was the lore at the time and what do you think it is now is because a lot of the time the answers are different then to what it is now. Like, for example, you know, in FNAF 2, we were discussing how the protagonist in FNAF 2 probably was William Afton at the time and then was later changed into someone else. Because the thing is, at the time, we probably did have the answers to the questions then. Like, back then, there was probably, like, a hint as to what that was about, like, why he was doing it. But then, obviously, in future, things changed. We know he was probably doing it just for the Remnant, for his experimentation. But it was just an odd one, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
in terms of like FNAF 2, I know it's definitely like, I know like it's like different for like what happens throughout the night, because I know the first 6 nights it's Jeremy, then once you get to the 7th night, it's Michael, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, it's kind of debated because I personally think it's Jeremy the whole time, and then he gets bitten, because it just seems kind of like odd that Michael lost his frontal lobe and then just kept going. Like, he just kept doing it.
If I like, because I remember like I know a lot about FNAF 2. It's my favorite FNAF game. Never personally played, but I definitely really I honestly might buy it one of these points because it's not that expensive. But like FNAF, like so with what happens, I think is in FNAF 2, Jeremy Fitzgerald is the night guard for all 6 nights. He gets that call. It's like, hey, you know, someone needs to take up the night shift, you know, or the morning shift. You know, there's a, like, you know, like our morning guy disappeared, which was William Afton.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely, without a doubt.
Yeah. And then after that, he he takes over morning shift. Now, in terms of like the person who did the bite, according to like I think a lore video I have seen a while ago, which was I think Matt Pat, it was, you know, if you look at the way that each animatronic bites, the most likely is Toy Chica and Mangle. But in terms of who is most likely to do it, even, I mean, I don't think Toy Chica would do it because Toy Chica is a little bit too docile.
It's the feral Mangle.
Yeah, feral Mangle, because Mangle got, you know, pulled apart and put back together, which of course she's going to be a bit more broken than all the other toy animatronics.
And I mean, as well,
and the way that she bites, she immediately goes for your frontal top.
Oh, so yeah, she's going for that lobe. I think as well, a big thing for Mangle being it is when you listen to her kind of voice lines that we hear, you can hear her calling the police in between. So I wouldn't have put it past Henry to make a protocol that if there's a criminal in the building and people are unsafe and the police can't get there in time, then just bite and do it. Like, take out the frontal lobe, because it won't kill them, but it will incapacitate them before they can hurt anyone. So if it was William, for example, because like, yeah, if it thought it was William, or if it thought it was someone who was generally dangerous, I wouldn't put it past Henry to have it built in that Mangle can just bite and protect the facility. Yeah, I would just say one more kind of thing. So at the time, I feel like it was definitely Cassidy, right? I feel like no one really kind of
There's no
fit the
one else
bill.
that fit the bill. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the only thing that was kind of throwing off at the time is the theory that's actually still ongoing that there was 2 souls inside Golden Freddy. So the theory was that it could have been the other soul, which we now know could be Andrew. I'm not an Andrew believer. I'm far from an Andrew believer. I don't think he is the one you should not have killed.
I always remembered like the two soul theory. I always believed in the two soul theory, although it was like the actual like crying child was inside of uh Golden Freddy, and then the other one is Cassidy, which is the other child that died. That was like put inside of that soul or put inside of that like suit, because the way that a Golden Freddy works is he's a spring lock, so he's basically just like a defunct suit. He doesn't move like all the other animatronics.
Yeah, he's definitely kind of like his own thing.
Which is why you even hear inside of like FNAF 2, which is like there's another suit in the back, you know. Which they might, I know they're for sure talking about the Yellow Rabbit, but they might also be talking about like Golden Freddy, because that is the other suit in the back. And immediately when they talk about it in Night 6, that's when Golden Freddy becomes active. The moment they talk about it.
I mean, what was Golden Freddy's attack pattern? Because I know at the time we started to have the belief that one was a vengeful spirit, one had moved on. The vengeful one's Cassidy, the other one was William's son. But did we have any, like... Yeah.
We know for sure because of the Old Man Consequences thing, where, you know, if you catch the fish, he'll basically tell you, you know, like, rest here, you know, like, you know, calm down.
Yeah. Like, stop it.
Yeah, chill out, you know. It's like, I'm pretty sure he's talking to Cassidy, but then you immediately get the ending after you beat 5020, which is Golden Freddy, like, you know, like twitching and still moving.
Ugh,
so I feel like the first soul moved on, not the second one. If anything happened like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like... Yeah, I feel like at the very least at the time, it was meant to be that Cassidy's soul would never rest, which I think is really sad overall, because at the end of the day, she was just a kid too, and she's so filled with agony because of the unfairness and the cruelness of it all that she keeps going, which I think is really, like, overall, really fucking sad. It's really, like, that she never finds peace.
Although she does technically find peace with like, the suffering of William, which is technically prolonged every time you play the game. That was one of the theories at the time, that, you know, the suffering's prolonged because you're playing the game, you know, that's William's suffering the whole time.
Every time you rage, William rages harder.
Yeah.
Oh, God. I do like that as a concept, though. That is quite funny, that you kind of, like, every time someone plays the game, William is hurt and gone a little more crazy every time. What is the game lore? Now, how much do you know about Glitch Trap?
I know that in the AR game, or, you know, AR games, that basically every time you collected a tape instead of Help Wanted 1, you basically formed more and more pieces of him. That's why he got closer and closer and kept waving and waving, you know, getting closer, until eventually he became whole, which is why you get the ending instead of the whole game, where basically he takes you to the back room, he stuffs you in a suit.
How fun.
Yeah.
I mean, something that we were discussing on specifically the Help Wanted episode is it's really odd because it very much felt like it was set up to be William's soul in Help Wanted, because in their mobile version of Help Wanted, there was a game where if you decoded it, it said, like, I always come back or something. And then obviously Glitch Trap is very much in the image of Springtrap. So I have a feeling they might have had the concept of bringing William back as kind of like as part of the programming as Agony potentially, but I feel like that's now Mimic. But I don't know. What do you think? Do you think it actually is William somehow, or it's just Mimic?
I remember an old theory where people were thinking that's basically like a data-ized version of William. Although I think also another thing with like Secret of the Mimic that I think is not really being talked about is like, so you see the suits instead of like, you know, like Edwin's like old shop. Doesn't it seem a bit similar? Like they strike in similarity because it's like it's basically just a suit, like a classic like rabbit suit that's basically in the image of Springtrap.
So, have you heard of Fall Fest? Do you know what that is?
No clue.
Okay, so it's kind of something we've been getting hints about, but we don't have full answers about for Fall Fest. Like in Help Wanted 2, we've got mini games that like they could be in Fall Fest. We know Edwin's wife died in this Fall Fest, but the biggest thing about Fall Fest is that there's an ongoing theory that Fazbear Entertainment originally arose in a Fall Fest. So, and the fabric suit that we see of that is Glitch Trap might actually be a Fall Fest suit where it was made as a prototype before we had like the complete animatronics, and maybe even where Edwin met William and Henry was at this Fall Fest and he saw their costumes, which is like a big thing. Yeah, I think you're right though. The way you can see it's kind of stitched together. I think I personally am of the belief that in Help Wanted it is the Mimic 1 program, at least. Not necessarily the Mimic animatronic, but the program that ran it, because obviously those are separate.
Aren't there 2 Mimic programs? I haven't personally played the game, but I know I've seen like a couple videos on Secret of the Mimic so far, and aren't there like 2 different Mimic programs? Because I know one's Andrew and the other one is a separate one entirely.
Yeah, so from my understanding, so originally in the books, we knew there was the Mimic 1 program, which is the code that initially was put into Mimic, but was separate from the Mimic itself. But in the games so far, we have confirmed, we have Mimic 1, which was the caretaker and eventually ended up mimicking Fiona, Edwin's wife, that went into the cradle, the MXES machine that was in ruin. And then the second one you have is the one that's kind of evil. The one that was mimicking David, their son, got beaten up and then turned evil in the end. So there are 2 kind of programs running at the moment.
The thing I remember about the Mimic program for David, at least, is the reason why he got beat is because he was basically mimicking his son that got hit by a bus, right?
We don't know how it died yet. There is an ongoing theory that the other Mimic killed him.
Yeah, I know the theories are like I think like the theory is like he died to a bus or the Mimic killed him. I like watched like 1 or 2 videos so far, so that's what I know about the Mimic. I'm a bit more of like an old head FNAF fan. I'm used to the possessed animatronics, not actual animatronics.
The real animatronics are here. So yeah, it's kind of in the.
I know it's the thing that like started around like the book series where like robots actually thinking they're human, fully human. Which is, it does seem like it would fit very much inside of like FNAF lore for like robots to actually fully become human.
Yeah.
Because like, and then it's like humans becoming robots. You basically have like the flip inside of like the series, which is it's a nice like theming. It's a little gruesome, but still nice theming.
Yeah, I quite enjoy it. I know it gets like a lot of hate, but it is quite a fun storyline. I mean, especially because you've seen like a bit of Security Breach, right? Yeah, so I am firmly of the belief now that Gregory himself is a robot. And I think it's a really interesting narrative because we're getting to the point now, as you said, robots believe they are human. And it's very much a question of ethics going forward as well, because is the Mimic, even though the Mimic has killed people, is it really evil because it was kind of in self-defense? Like if someone was breaking into my house and looking for instructions to kill me, I think I would be a bit defensive. Me personally.
I'm gonna get a bit defensive.
It's a little bit. But
so I know the ending of the Secret of the Mimic. There's like 3 endings. The operator was actually the Mimic the whole time.
Yes, not the whole time. Most of it.
That's the only like plot contrivance I'm not super happy with, but it is like a Mimic thing. It's like it's supposed to mimic like real people. So I can be a little bit angry at it. I can't be super angry at it because it still technically falls into like the demographic.
I mean, to be fair, it wasn't the evil Mimic. It was the Fiona Mimic because she was trying to get the schematics. Therefore, she can give them to Edwin, who is at least missing, but she doesn't know that. She's trying to get the schematics to give to Edwin so they can fix the Mimic. So it wasn't with evil intentions, at least. Like, she's not trying to get us in danger at all. But it's... I feel like it did make sense thematically, at least.
I know in the car ending, you get fired and then you immediately get attacked by the other Mimic. The evil Mimic. And then there's the one where you explode the place. I don't know the full thing about that, but I know the place gets exploded and then basically you're toast.
That's the yeah, pretty much. That's the
Yeah.
canon ending, which
Yeah.
generally accepted to be the real ending of that one, is when the mimic gets to walk away from the burning wreck and you just kind of die.
There's a third ending. I know the third one, but I don't know the exact specifics of that one. I know there's the explosive and like the car ending.
I haven't done it yet, I'll be honest. I haven't, because I haven't had time to do the full secret run yet, but I plan on like gonna maybe stream that or record that. But I know the bits I know, without trying to spoil myself too much, is that the mimic can imitate David, and that was the whole point of the second mimic, was to imitate David.
That is the other ending. Right, that is the other ending. That one. Yeah. Where you see the mimic like mimicking a kid, I think, right?
Yeah, specifically David. Yeah. But
like,
that's
he grabs like a little doll. He like does like a little like kid little things, or like kicks his feet. Like,
it's really cute, and I think that's why I think Gregory has a really high chance of being a robot now, because there's been evidence since like literally since Security Breach. There's been evidence that he is a robot mimicking the crying child, but I think everyone kind of like memed on it. But the more evidence we get, for example, seeing the fact that the mimic can quite easily imitate a child. Yeah.
Especially easily because the mimic can go ahead and like it like actually is smart enough to make its own like robotic parts to like either increase its size or like, because it has like adjustable like holes for its body, so it's able to grow or shrink shrink or grow.
Gotta go down. I mean, because I almost think that Gregory was made by Edwin, because for reference, in the parachute ending, the canon one, we know that Edwin is at least trapped and abandoned by Mimic, but I don't think he dies. I almost think he builds Gregory as a last-ditch attempt, as almost like a anti-Mimic thing, like a final one to kind of actually deal with Mimic, someone as intelligent as him.
Oh.
Yes.
I know there's another thing that hold on. There is a working theory, I think, with like so we know Cassidy meets Gregory. Do we know the exact time frame of that?
So I do actually have the book of that. It seems like it was one of her birthdays, because Gregory was then evil for a bit after it. It depends how much we can believe the books, but it seems like at least a year or two ago on her birthday they met. That's kind of like the rough concept.
Which is the same time he meets Roxy, which honestly, I think the thing with Roxy really hating Gregory, I think it also does work towards that, like, you know, like theory of like, you know, the Mimic and like Gregory being a thing, because Roxy does fight the Mimic at the end of the Ruin game. She loses, but
yeah. I mean, in the book I've got, because there's these 3 interactive stories called Tales of the Pizzaplex, and the one I've got is the one with Cassie and Gregory. Thing is, Gregory keeps nearly killing Cassie, and Roxy's the one that has to defend Gregory the whole time, to the point that Gregory hacks Roxy to be a threat to Cassie, and if Cassie doesn't solve a problem, then Roxy kills Cassie in the ending. So I can kind of see why Roxy gets her vengeance as well, why she's mad.
I think another thing about the Secret of the Mimic, that, I mean, technically there's a character that like hasn't been accounted for, but I have seen like people like talking about like, you know, like Jackie, because Jackie technically doesn't die like all the other like animatronics that are like Secret of the Mimic, like Dolly like fully like basically like dies from like being molten, basically like liquefied metal, even though Dolly's technically the Mimic, if I remember correctly.
Oh, all of them are the Mimic.
All of them are Mimics?
They're all the Mimic, because, no, it's all one Mimic. The Mimic can change its costume to fit anything. So the whole point of Secret Mimic is literally anywhere you look. Sometimes if you're going through a room, for example, he hops in suits and he'll randomly change without you knowing. So literally Dolly, Jackie, like Jackie was just a Jack-in-Box that looks scarily similar to the puppet, even the same music. That's a whole nother...
Jackie looks fine until like basically the Mimic starts running around with like the animatronic piece and like the face bits and like all the other parts of like the face like basically get destroyed and like it looks all like monstrous.
Yeah.
Because I know that Jackie falls inside of the locker and it's basically the Jackie's saved for later. That's like a theory that I've heard. That's why Jackie's like, still like alive technically instead of
Yeah,
like even like
the
the
suit's
blown up
still
ending.
going.
Yeah.
I mean, I personally think we're gonna get a DLC as well, because it seems like we're very much setting up to have one more past story to do with Henry and Edwin, and also, like, why we have this glitch trap suit, like, where it's come from, and then also how Henry and Edwin met. So I would very much not be surprised if this is where Jackie appears, because on the computer you can actually find a file called Puppet Schematics or something like that, so it might even be that Edwin made the security puppet, which is a whole other can of worms. But I definitely feel like we're missing something. There is like a missing DLC or something that we're going to get soon before the big kind of security breach 2 thing.
Yeah, they've had. I've seen like the theory about like Jackie, coming back, especially with like all the callbacks, because the paper pals, like the one paper pal with like the mouth open, the one normally like teleports inside of your room. That one is like actually like they're like, oh, it looks like a clown. We haven't had a clown animatronic, and then Jackie's in the game now, or Jackie's like a part of like the lore. So like there had to been like a Jack in the Box, and I mean I don't think people are talking about this, but inside of FNAF 6, when like you're looking at like all the like old like scrap animatronics, there are pictures of a clown.
Yeah.
Always, like, which no one's ever had like a concrete theory of like why like there's like this creepy clown with like all the the scrap animatronics.
Yeah, it definitely could be a kind of Jackie thing. But yeah, the only big thing about Ultimate Custom Night as well is questionably that is the only evidence that the Vengeful Spirit is actually Charlie Williams' son, is because in Security Breach there is a lot of puppet imagery. Like all over the Pizzaplex, there's these black and white wires, there's puppet toys everywhere. So if there is any possibility the Vengeful Spirit is Charlie, that would be why, and that would mean Afton has somehow like escaped or something. But yeah.
Yeah.
I'll add one more thing. Yeah, I've got one more thing to add. Is that the only thing that Ultimate Custom Night could be is because there was a book that came out after this called The Man in Room 86 or something like that, I believe, and it's about a man who's burnt. Have you heard of that one?
Yeah, the Room 806. I heard about it after like the 14 theory.
Yeah.
14 victims, 14 things that all like connect to FNAF, like Ultimate Custom Night. So.
I mean, I'll just explain it for like people listening. For reference, this is a short story where there is like a burnt, really damaged man in a bed, and he can't die. He won't die even though he's in this really bad state, and it's because there's this spirit that's been haunting him and keeping him alive. So that's the only other thing that could change in Ultimate Custom Night, is that William is not dead. He's in this comatose state. But it's kind of like the debate that's been going on for so long. How canon are the books? It's just such a odd one. It's always stuck out.
It's always books versus game lore, because sometimes the book lore connects with the game lore, sometimes the book lore doesn't follow the game lore. Get a like mix match.
Yeah, you've got to take pieces out, which is the most annoying thing. How does this affect the future of the games? I feel like the biggest thing that might affect the future of the games is William himself. Like, were there any clues that we could have taken from Ultimate Custom Night, whether William is alive, or is there something in there that the Mimic has mimicked? Like, if Ultimate Custom Night is a fever dream, could he have accessed the fever dream? It's like, it just heavily relies on how Mimic and William are related.
Because we never know if like William will like ever escape, because technically, I mean, yeah, we know he like dies, he like fully like molts himself into like, I think he's essentially molten metal at this point, and like molten flesh. So like, if like he's still alive, I know that inside of Security Breach, there's the blob, which I know is like mostly like the head is like of Molten Freddy, and then like you see like the parts of like Chica, all the other animatronics, because it's mostly like spaghetti. It's mostly spaghetti, which means that it's the sister location animatronics.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's molten to a point where, like, I feel like even Afton could be inside of that because it's from FNAF 6. So,
Yeah.
maybe Afton's still alive, like, molten inside of that, but, like, there's so many spirits, like, coalescing inside of the blob. I feel like there's not really... I feel like even if Afton is still alive, he can't really do much because the blob is just... It's called the blob. It's not called,
Yeah.
like blob trap or, like, any type of... No, it's just the blob.
It's just the blob. I feel like the only issue with Security Breach is, I don't know if you've seen, there was a whole interview not that long ago about how the reason that Security Breach wasn't the best game is because Scott and Stillwell didn't communicate, which is why now we know the only canon ending is the Princess Quest one, so the blob might not necessarily exist because that ending didn't happen anymore.
Wait, actually, no, the blob still exists because the blob appears instead of ruin.
That's a good point. So
You can see the
that's
blob moving around in ruin. So technically the blob is still a thing.
that's the big thing. That's the really big thing at the moment is, in Security Breach, how much of it is canon? Because you kind of have to figure out what Scott has said, and that's why we see it in Security Breach, versus what Stillwell have misinterpreted and what is canon. So the blob being an actual thing, I feel like the only way Afton could be alive in some segment is either his agony is in there, or the blob is a literal cage, and the story of the room 48, 78, whatever it was, could be that.
806? 1806, I think.
1806, that's the one.
Yeah.
The room.
The room.
The room. Yeah. But I feel like, other than that, Ultimate Custom Night was very much its own end to the prior stories. It was very much like a conclusion rather than a link to the future games. So I feel like, unless Afton is alive in that blob somehow, then it's pretty much Ultimate Custom Night was the end of it. And I don't think it'll affect future games much in the future.
The only thing I think, because it is technically the end of an era, the end of like the classic FNAF lore, and into the Steelwool era, which goes to Help Wanted and beyond. I mean, we still have technically the Andrew theory and like all those other things that link back to like Ultimate Custom Night, but like that's technically like ifs, ands, or buts.
Yeah, I don't personally believe it's Andrew. I think Scott isn't the kind of person that would add something like that in, because the thing is, with Mimic and Edwin, they coexist quite well. Like, Edwin's lore doesn't change the main game lore enough for it to be disruptive, whereas having an angry spirit this entire time called Andrew and is like, where has he come from? Where has he been this whole time? Like, there would have had to have been signs from Scott that he was there. So it's just very iffy.
I feel like I mean, maybe it is Cassidy, like, from like the old perspective, but maybe it's Andrew now. Maybe Cassidy's the actual like spirit, the first spirit instead of Golden Freddy, and then it's Andrew that's the vengeful spirit that's taking over to basically like torment Afton. Although after Ultimate Custom Night, I don't think there's any. I think as soon as like Ultimate Custom Night's over and like you do all of like your lore, it cuts off from like where the point where like everything else is. I mean, Afton still has like his influence, his like everything for like what happens.
Yeah,
because that's kind of the thing. He basically he jumps out of the whole series with Henry and Edwin now, which we have a new figure to have like at the starting point.
Yeah.
So
Thing is, I think Andrew was meant to be symbolism for Cassidy. I don't think he was never ever meant to be in the lore. I think he was meant to represent Cassidy without giving us the answers on a silver platter, because Scott doesn't like doing that, but it feels like it was okay, here's this story, it's kind of parallel to Cassidy's story, so it's kind of just an overall, like, do with that what you will. Same as Room, the Room story. It was never meant to be canon, but we are meant to take some things from it, and I think interpreting it as being Andrew directly is probably too much of a leap. Right.
But that's the future for like the games in terms of what happened.
Like, if they suddenly do bring in Andrew to the current lore, I'd be quite disappointed, because I feel like so far they've done a really good job of making the current lore not affect the old lore. Like, there's been a very clear line driven of, okay, that was cursed animatronics, this is a story that was happening meanwhile about actual animatronics that thought they're human.
Yeah, it's basically going from humans to robots, now robots to humans, affecting the spirits of the the humans that are robots now, because they are technically meshing when like you look at like Security Breach even. Because technically, I mean, there might still be like the souls of like the animatronics from like the first game. Maybe they're just around at this point.
There probably is one. There's at least one, because in the blob I think there's one animatronic's mask. All of them are like shut off, especially puppets, which no longer has any tears and there's no light. But there's one mask.
I think it might just be because I did talk about Molten Freddy. I think it might just be like, because technically Molten Freddy is still Gabriel, so I think Gabriel's still there. Because like it's basically so you melted down all the original animatronics, put them inside the sister location animatronics. Technically the sister location animatronics are still alive because of Molten Freddy, because Molten Freddy is the mesh of all them, because Molten Freddy's entered throughout Scrap Baby, and then after they threw out Scrap Baby, they basically got burned in separate instances, and then the blob became a thing because oh my
it's like theory soup.
It's a theory ring, because I go one direction, then I have to go back this other direction, then I have to go back here. But I feel like Gabriel is still alive in terms of like, you know, the animatronics, which if it's melted down and they're still down there, I feel like at least that's the only animatronic that's still like alive and kicking.
Yeah. Someone who's angry enough to keep going and felt probably wronged is the only one that feels like he should stay there.
With like all these animatronics inside of like him.
Yeah,
now.
Or even one that just doesn't understand where Afton's gone, because they might have. Well, because no one probably knows that Cassidy is currently tormenting William's spirit for the spirits. So if this spirit has then seen something that looks like Afton in the what's that noise? Looks like Afton in that Vanny suit, it kind of makes sense why he would stay, because if he thinks, oh dang, William's going out again, of course he's going to be like going around the Pizzaplex. But yeah.
And there's also like a special thing about Vanessa that I think still technically might even like, you know, call attention to like the theory of like the robots, like, you know, still being like affected by like in terms of like their soul, is like Vanessa, because she's still technically like a manifestation of Glitchtrap, even being like, even though she is her own entity, she can basically affect the way an animatronic can see.
Yeah.
So that's why when like you're inside of like the security locker, or not the security locker, inside the recharging station, when Vanny skips by, they basically like, you know, like all the staticky stuff, and then, you know, Gregory's like, oh my god, look, there's a bunny. What bunny? I didn't see anything. You know, that whole thing.
Gregory, you are crazy, Gregory.
Gregory, what are you talking about?
Gregory, you're dumbass, Gregory.
Yeah, that whole thing.
Yeah, I definitely think there's something off. I definitely think we are still missing pieces. I've talked about this a couple times now, but we are missing a DLC, and we're obviously missing what happens after Security Breach. Like, there's definitely some big segments missing that we are going to find soon. But I feel like there's a bigger picture coming.
And even in Dead by Daylight, this is technically the first official time Glitchtrap has been called Glitchtrap.
Yeah.
Normally it's just the yellow, it was like the yellow rabbit, or like, you know, the bunny suits, whatever you call it. The bunny.
Yeah.
Just bunny something.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like there are still pieces from Ultimate Custom Night that could potentially fall into play, but I just hope they don't change too much of it. Like, if Andrew is that vengeful spirit, I'm not going to be impressed. So, is all I'm saying. Yeah.
And we know every single victim Springtrap had. We know every single thing about what happened.
We have like an overarching narrative.
Yeah, for like at least like the first 7 games. I technically count Ultimate Cousin Night as a game. Technically it's 6.5. If you want to really be like that, but because overall in FNAF, technically there's like the original storyline, which is FNAF 1 to 4. The new storyline, which is 1 to Ultimate Custom Night. Then we have the new games, which is everything.
It's a whole new collection.
It's like 1 to 6, but it's only like the fourth closet, or sorry, 1 to Sister Location, which is just the 4th closet. And then everything else is basically 1 to like now. So
yeah, it has its own narrative arc, and I think that's the big thing, is where they're going to overlap. And I hope they don't change too much, because I love the new lore, and I'll be quite disappointed if they do change it overall, but yeah.
I do hope we eventually go back to spirits and like children haunting animatronics, but we're in kind of the robot era right now for now.
I find the robot era is more relevant now, though, with the whole like uprising of AI and stuff. I think it's very much a theme that's very good to have at the moment, and it makes me sad that a lot of people are missing it because obviously a lot of people don't trust the series after the security breach, and I can totally see why. I absolutely see why. But
I don't think what Steel did was like horrible. I definitely think they could have handled like Ruin a little bit better, but it was a big game they made. They tried to make huge strides. Burn Trap was
they went too
miss.
far.
Burn Trap was definitely a miss. I did not like Burn Trap. The moment I saw Burn Trap, I was like, no. And like all the bugs in the game, when I watched like Markiplier played it, definitely did not make me want to like.
It was very clear that Scott, I felt quite validating hearing it was actually Scott that wasn't communicating with them, because it made sense why so many of the endings were no longer canon, because Scrap Trap wasn't meant to be a thing. It probably was that the Mimic was trying to build a body like Springtrap. That probably was track canon, but it wasn't Springtrap's corpse himself. It was never meant to be visibly like that. Like, even the Mimic was meant to be there this whole time, but he was meant to be in the walls, kind of like randomly like looking at us, kind of peeking through the walls. Like his original idea, you were meant to like out of the corner of your eyes see something peeking at you, and when you turned it was gone. And that is such a cooler concept than having this big reveal at the end, and I'm really sad that it didn't happen because it links so well with Ruin, how likely between Security Breach and Ruin, Gregory and Vanessa locked Mimic away into the basement. Like, it's such a nice, more coherent narrative, and it's a shame.
Which does explain why in Security Breach there are like little sections where like you'll see like writing of like someone like trying to be a person. You'll see like robots like strapped up like they're a whole bunch of people. And they'll be like writing and stuff like like basically like I'm a human, like I I do yada yada yada. And then like there's like the little like downward section of Ruin where like there's like all like the swamp of like dead animatronics.
Oh yeah,
I'm surprised they're like I'm surprised they're still in business when they have that many dead animatronics like down there.
They're like, just rich.
Honestly, I wonder how much like Freddy Fazbear's Pizza makes, especially because like when like you're playing the game, you can't technically get a pizza pass unless like you have like I don't know, I think it's like $30 or something. It's really exorbitant prices. It
really as well depends on who owns it. That's one of the biggest mysteries we still have is who owns the Pizzaplex, who is the one that is still around, has the licensing to it, or has bought the licensing to it enough to bring Security Breach back. Like, Henry is dead, William is dead, Edwin at least is missing. I don't think he's dead necessarily by Security Breach, but I don't think he's not the kind of person to have brought back the Pizzaplex like that, so...
The crazy theory is that maybe Michael Lafton took it over, but Michael died in that fire for sure.
Oh yeah, he's dead. I mean, the only ones that could have potentially escaped the fire is Springtrap because his background looks different, and Lefty because we never actually see Lefty burning, so...
Oh yeah, Lefty's the only person we don't get like a concrete like picture of them like dying.
Yeah.
And like...
The one kind of link there, because again we have Night Marion plushies all over the Pizzaplex. We have the In Your Dreams puppet staff bots, and we also have the literally the wires that look like the puppet's arms. Like the puppet is the one thing that I think has a good chance. Not necessarily the spirit of the puppet, but something puppety is still going on. I don't think she's done with yet. She's still going.
Because I do like the thing of like Charlie versus the Mimic, because she's an overall protector of like like children and like their like souls, and like the evil Mimic, he hates kids basically. And maybe it wasn't like ingrained inside it. Maybe it wasn't like the original purpose of him, but you definitely see he doesn't like kids because of what he possibly did to David and like what like overall happened at the end of like that game.
Yeah, so... it's just I'm excited to see where it goes. I'm excited to see what they're doing with it, because I feel like they're cooking. I feel like at this point we do have a really coherent narrative, so I'm excited to see what the answer is going to be to the last few mysteries, because we Secret of the Mick really gave us answers to a lot of things we were missing. So I feel like we're so close to like a definitive answer.
And at the end of Ruin, we're left on a huge cliffhanger because we don't even know if Cassidy's still alive, because that elevator went down fast. Okay?
Yeah. So, I think she's
There's a
alive.
chance that, I mean, there is a chance. I mean, if they want to do something like crazy and out of like the box, they're gonna make you play as an animatronic like version of Cassidy.
I think she's going to be an animatronic. I think she's at least going to have animatronic
Yeah.
parts, and we're not going to realize it until the end and we look down. And I think that's also going to link about how Gregory is a robot. I think that's going to be
Or maybe,
part of it.
I think what's gonna happen is like, like maybe it's like like the puppet's gonna give life, give like gifts, that type of thing. That's gonna happen all over again, except for it's Cassidy, and then like it's
Round
basically
2.
the two parts of FNAF basically like overlapping now, which is the robots become human, human became robot.
And the fact it would be on a child named Cassie, which is so similar to Cassidy, is very funny as well.
Yeah, Cassie, and Gregory. I mean, I think one of the children that died was Gregory?
It might have been. To be fair, Gregory's name probably isn't even Gregory, because when he tells Freddy, he goes, I'm Gregory. Like, it doesn't sound like he is actually Gregory. I don't think that's his name.
Yeah, even with like all the other parts of like the lore, it's like, oh, his name's Gregory. Well, technically, it could be a fake name. But I feel like it maybe is.
I feel like it definitely is, because like they were very clear to give the direction of him being like suspicious about it, like stuttering so much before he says his name, when we know that Gregory isn't like the kind of person to stutter. Like the rest of the game, he's so confident, like getting mad at Freddy, like, Freddy, what is that? Freddy, you suck, kind of thing. Like, he's not a shy kid. So
I'm just a kid.
I'm just a silly guy. I'm just a silly guy.
What are you doing inside of me? That's
Oh, the memes are so good.
especially I think what's really weird inside of the game is like like he comes out of like Freddy, and then Freddy immediately has a Faz watch inside of like his stomach hatch.
Like, yeah, sure, that makes sense.
That seems really dangerous. I mean, though the weirdest thing is that technically he has that stomach hatch, but I mean,
oh, it's a cake hatch.
Cake hatch that's big enough to fit a child.
Big cake.
That's definitely that's the exact thing that was happening with Funtime Freddy. Like, Funtime Freddy had that specific hatch. If you look at the schematics, he had a hatch big enough to fit a child in there.
I feel like it's just more evidence towards Gregory being a robot as well, because it looks too small to fit in, and it probably is for a normal person, but if he is like Mimic and that he can compact himself down, he could very easily just fold in there.
Yeah. In terms of like the animatronics, like being like hyper aggressive, I mean, they definitely wouldn't be that aggressive towards a child. Like, you gotta think about it. Like, they're like fully like it's implied that like they're killing him.
Oh yeah, we know why that is actually as well. It's I predicted this before it was true. But basically, the Mimic infected the Pizzaplex AI, and it just made them more aggressive. And it was made easier by the fact that Gregory had been tampering with the AI for a bit before, so their systems were down. And then the Mimic just infected the actual animatronics. It seems very likely, and made their like personalities more dramatic. So, for example, Roxy, who is meant to be quite like, glamorous, sure of herself, became insecure. Monty, who's meant to be like a bit aggressive, but he won't ever hurt you, became aggressive to the point of
ravenous. He literally destroys his whole
Yeah, because the thing is, in the books, he's quite sweet. Like, if he catches you in the first Escape the Pizzaplex book, he just picks you up and puts you in his back and carries you out. Whereas by the recent book that I had, Monty kills you if he finds you, specifically because Gregory has hacked him to be able to kill you if he finds you. So it could all be Gregory's fault. It's not impossible that it's all Gregory's fault.
Yeah, that definitely would make sense because at the beginning of Security Breach, it says systems down, and then you.
Yeah, Gregory. Why am I down?
Right, it happens during a concert, and then after that, the place is just completely empty. I'd be surprised how fast that place got like emptied out. Because you see how big the Pizzaplex is, right? That's like literally like, I think that's like 10 acres of like just straight like pizza building.
It's sorry. It's partially because it's closing time as well, though, because that's the reason we can't get out at midnight. The whole Pizzaplex is already closed. So that obviously is like a bit of a contributing factor. But yeah.
Yeah. I definitely, it's definitely I have to do a little bit suspension of disbelief to like see
Mm.
like how fast that place got like leveled out of like people.
Yeah, they're just gone. They're
I
just
mean,
gone.
their business might also be fluctuating because if you look at like certain things like the mix, like Monty's mix, that type of thing, like it's like all gross, like, and then Chica like she started like
Mm.
eating through like the garbage, which I think like starts happening around like what's it like Help Wanted 2,
Mm.
when like she starts like becoming Hank. Like I know I think at like the beginning she definitely still has like that thing of like undeniable hunger and like her
Mm.
AI, but it's not like she'll like fully like go on to it. But then the moment like the AI like starts fluctuating a bit, it's like she's literally just like she'll eat and shovel
Yeah.
garbage into her
And
mouth.
that's part of the hack. Everyone's personalities got like dramatically enhanced, and hers being, haha, she likes food, obviously got enhanced to the point of I need to eat now constantly.
She has an undeniable hunger. Right?
Insatiable.
I must eat. I must eat.
I exist, so I must eat.
And a thing in Ruin I know you can do is you can give back Chica's beak.
I don't know why that was.
Or well no. You have her beak, but I don't know I think you put it back in?
You
I don't-
can put
I
it
don't-
back in, but there's like, I
Yeah.
think there's a line of dialogue and that's it. Like, there's the questions whether it was an unfinished ending, because you could also find Monty's legs in the pile, but you couldn't pick them up. So it really felt like they were giving us some kind of secret ending where we could repair everyone, but it never panned out,
And
which
then
is really
you
odd.
also finally figure out what happens to Rockstar Bonnie.
Oh, I
Rockstar
love
Bonnie-
Bonnie.
Because Rockstar Bonnie was taken over by Monty. It was kind of like
Yeah.
a begrudging thing because, like, Monty, like, technically, if you look at like the little like blurbs of like comics, it's like, oh yeah, Monty was just like supposed to be like a little like background singer, and then like all of a sudden like Rockstar Bonnie like took a plunge, and then it's like, oh well, now you got to take over. So now you get the tuning like a clause, and now
Gush about the game.
in my opinion, it's definitely one of the hardest games to talk about because you have to talk. Even when you're talking about the future games, you have to talk about what it did to the future from the past, and then you
Yeah.
talk about the past from what that did to the future.
And
So
that's kind of why I had to divide it this way, because the law was different at the time, and then the law might have been something else at the time, then in the future it kind of tells you what it was, or it could be completely changed, or it could be influenced by the new stuff. It's such a... FNAF is such a fluctuating thing. It really contributes.
I'm definitely very excited that you allowed me to talk about this, because technically I don't ever talk about how much of like a FNAF theorist I am. I know a lot about the lore. I know a lot more than I give off. Okay, I've been with this game since the start.
You're an
Since
OG.
the first Markiplier video. I've been there. I haven't really seen any of the new stuff though. I've been a little like.
You can watch
because
my playthrough of the new stuff.
I'm mad. I still will. I'm definitely a bit mad. and Still will. It's not like I don't like them. It's just I don't know. It's just definitely the launch of like Security Breach kind of like turned me off.
It did for everyone, and I think it's a shame because both Ruin and Secret of the Mimic are really, really good games. Especially like the horror segments of Secret of the Mimic are genuinely really scary for a lot of it.
Yeah.
So I
it
think
looks really
it has
scary,
potential.
especially that tiger section.
Oh, I hate that. I've got a whole TikTok of how I was terrified the whole time. It was, oh, I literally had to walk in and I walked out because I was like, I genuinely don't know if I can do this because it's so bad.
But I definitely am very happy to be given the chance to talk about every single FNAF game rather than just one FNAF game.
Like
because
focused in.
in terms of like the games that like were like that we have for like giving out, technically my game has to lead to every other game, so I have to be very meticulous with what I'm telling.
You have the position of power.
Basically.
But yeah, I mean, I'm glad you've joined me for this as well, though, because I think Ultimate Custom Night, actually, well, if we move to the next segment, it's going to be part of the next segment, but something really important about Ultimate Custom Night is it's something that was very much a love letter to all its fans. Is here's all the animatronics, here's the lore, here's the end of Afton, here's like the big finale, and that very much was made for all the past fans. So I feel like
Mhm.
it is important to talk with someone who's been there. Like both of us have been there since like the start, and I think that's very important that we are talking about this because we kind of have an experience that newer fans can never have. Because the moment the Ultimate Custom Night came out, like the fun of it, the humor, the emotion of it, you could only really experience that if you were there at the time.
Hmm. Like I feel like in terms of like the games, like it definitely like brought a lot of like the hardcore aspects of like the FNAF fans because
Oh yeah.
technically I mean I'm not gonna knock you. It's the hardest FNAF game from Scott. There are harder FNAF games. I think on
Like
the hold
fan
on,
games.
let me look it up on the leaderboards. Hold on. Hardest
But, I mean, as I said
FNAF.
though, Ultimate Custom Night has only been beaten by about 300 people out of the. God, I mean, how many people have downloaded it? 300 people have beaten it.
Right, hardest max modes. Let me see. I think it's around here because there is a website called Hardest Max Modes. So if we look at the main list, let me see. I'm trying to look
I
for
mean,
it. Oh,
so the game is owned between 1.26 million and 6.1 million people. Like have that many people have the game, and only 300 have beaten the hardest difficulty. That really says a lot about how hard it is.
I think. Let me see. Where is Ultimate Custom Night? Yeah, Ultimate Custom Night. Sorry, hold on. That's UCN recoded. Where is normal UCN? I know it's on this list somewhere. So I think it's really low on the list actually. Blood 720. That's a different thing.
I do want to call out as well while you're searching that there are currently 325 people playing the game right now. 354 is today's peak. And I think that's really cool that even now this game is so prevalent. Like it's 7 years after release and there's still 300 people playing this game. It's simple in its premise, but it's so complex and so well done that many people are playing it right now is crazy.
Hold on. I know where it is on the. I have to look. I think it's like 50 on the list. So in terms of like the hardest like max modes, UCN isn't like scratching like the top 10s.
Really? Is that fan games or Scott games in general?
That includes fan games. I think in terms of like. Hold on, let me see.
Fan games are rough.
Hold on. I know like let me see. Like the literal number one max mode is Ultimatum. Next one is Magic Overlord.
Oh my god.
Magic Overload, which is One Night at Chica's Magic Rainbow.
I've heard of that one.
Yeah, Chuck E. Cheese reboot. You know, the Eternal Charmification. Bit Crush 5. Worst Day Ever. Where is it? So I know it's here somewhere. Perfect Golden Freddy with Sister Location Super Custom Night. That's number 11. Yeah.
Jeez.
There's a lot of different like max modes here. Let me see.
I mean, fan games in general, a lot of them have spun off Ultimate Custom Night. Like, I mean, even for Vortex 25, a charity event that's going on at the time, it's not going on at time of release, but when filming this, it's in the middle of Vortex 25. Even that like has an Ultimate Custom Night mod, which I got to voice it. But even now we're still getting mods and extras because Ultimate Custom Night is such a good game to mod, and it's got so many so many add-ons to it. It's really cool.
Yeah. Even like Five Nights at Candy's 3, like literally one of the hardest like modes ever. It's only number 39, but it's Puppet Master All Challenges OG Laser Pointer. But you don't know how Laser Pointer works. Instead of Five Nights at Candy's 3, it basically was like the tiniest little reticle of your mouse, and you basically have to keep it on their face the whole time. And with like Puppet Master, he's like in like darkness, so you basically like can't see him the whole time, but he like moves super erratically and he can kill you in like a 5-second window, which even in terms of like Five Nights at Freddy's, it's like ooh.
Even 50-20 mode doesn't give you like a 5-second whack out.
Yeah, it's really fast how fast he can kill you. Like every time like you put it on his face, it like pauses the timer, but he can kill you so fast.
Jeez.
I'm trying to find where it is. I know it's somewhere around here. I know it's not. I wish I looked this up beforehand, but
It's okay.
if you do want to look up all of like the hardest max mounts, just look up the official FNAF max mounts list. There's a main list and there's an ultimate list. Which, it's a fun thing to learn about, like, that they, like, all like the hardcore FNAF fans, like, with all like these hard like modes, they have them like all listed.
But yeah, it's just, I feel like Ultimate Custom Night really brought the community together as a whole because it was such a good ending, so conclusive, it was fun. The little cutscenes with like the Foxy and the Thingy cutscenes was so funny, but we also got little bits of lore, like the Michael scene, because I feel like that was definitely half put there to almost confirm that it was William and not Michael in Ultimate Custom Night. But I think Ultimate Custom Night in general was a really good ending to the story, and I think still holds up as a game, which is why there's 350 people playing it right now, because it still holds up. It's still fun. Like, a lot of games can't do that. A lot of games that came out 7 years ago will not be being played now. People just won't play it. Whereas something like this is still going strong, and I think that's very cool.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot of fun. I haven't played I mean, I really should like play UCN, but I don't feel like I have like the mouse capabilities, because you really have to, I mean, technically you don't have to use your mouse. It's all about like micros. Like, you have to be really good at your macros to be like super good at like Ultimate Custom Night.
You have to learn a lot.
The way that Nightmarion works is basically if your mouse is like on screen at like a certain point where she is, well, it's a male voice, but it's like it's like a really,
it's Marionette. So.
it's just supposed to be a scary version of Marionette, so technically it's still her.
Yeah.
But wherever your mouse is, you'll basically insta-die. The way that the Nightmare BB works is like you can like flash him and he'll like stop for a second. Like, but if you flash him while he's like down on the ground, he'll jump scare you.
Oof. Those fireworks, that really scared me then, talking about horror games.
It's not 4th of July. That was like 8 days ago. That's 8 days ago.
Yeah.
New math.
Yeah. Do you have anything like in particular you want to kind of specify about Ultimate Custom Night? Something that you particularly loved?
I really enjoyed the fact that, like, we got like all the rock stars, the mediocre melodies, like everything I talked about at the beginning, like the mediocre melodies, Trash in the Gang, Helpy, and like the rock stars, them like all like getting their own like little thing inside of the game and actually getting jump scares. Because it was just like, oh, how are there so many animatronics? Because all the new ones he added.
they put in everything we loved. I think that's the best thing about Ultimate Custom Night is there was so much attention to detail.
Sorry, I always do that. Yeah, I didn't mean to talk over you. But,
like, no, it's fine. I do it.
There are still like a few like animatronics that were like missing from like certain games, but like I feel like we basically hit every single like animatronic we like needed. Because I think the only animatronics we're missing is like Nightmare Foxy. I hold on, I need to look at the full list of UCN animatronics really quick. So I know we're missing Nightmare Foxy. Stylized version. Let me see. We're missing like Nightmare Foxy. Like Loba is in the game. She's just an extra animatronic. Damn. Well, no, we're at least missing Nightmare Foxy, and also, oh yeah, we are missing all the animatronics technically from FNAF World. You gotta technically add those. So FNAF World animatronics.
But I feel like overall
like
it was pretty good. Had the fan favorites.
But basically it's everything. Basically everything.
Yeah. Alright. Anything else you want to kind of compliment?
No, I think I'm good. For like.
I think the only thing I'll add to the end is kind of Ultimate Custom Night was the end of an era, and I think it did a very good job in ending the era in the way it did. It was very much definitive answers to the story, definitive conclusions, definitive everything, and then just the end. And it felt like the end, and it felt like we're at a really good place to then start with Still War games, Which, yeah, I think just overall it was a really good one. It just really cut off where it needed to. It drew everything together that it needed to then go on to start a new era. I think it did good.
Yeah, it definitely did really good. Also, I did check what we were technically missing. We're missing like a few phantoms.
That makes sense.
Probably
Probably lore-wise as well, to be fair. William wouldn't have seen them, so it makes sense that they wouldn't be in his personal home.
Yeah. I've seen like definitely the what do you call them? FNAF World animatronics. Let's see. There's maybe like one or two things that could be added. Like I see like them always like adding like the Endo. I mean, technically there could have been multiple Golden Freddys. Like we have like the original Golden Freddy.
Yeah, and Fredbear.
Fredbear. Technically, we would have a lot of Fredbears because there's like 3 in total. But no, I think the game did a serviceable amount for like what we had in the game. Like what scary things.
Good coverage.
We also didn't have Bon. I guess you can also consider that, or Bonnet. mini arenas, Biddy Babs, Yendo. But like that's fine. I think Yendo is custom night only instead of system location, so I think that's fine.
I think overall it was a decent roster. It had the fan favorites and the ones that needed to be there and the ones that were canon. So.
And it had all the lore bits that you needed in between too.
Yeah. Overall, pretty good conclusion, I'd say. Would you agree?
Yeah.
And that's it today for the Fazlore Podcast. Special thanks to our lovely guest, Lucky.
Hi. I had a lot of fun here. I hope you guys enjoyed my lore. I might be a little wrong on some things, but you know, it's what comes with being an old head FNAF fan.
It seemed pretty solid. So where can we find you?
You can find me on Twitch TV /LuckyGamerVT, or you can find my YouTube channel. I've been trying to do YouTube videos. That might come soon. But YouTube channel is the same as my Twitch channel, LuckyGamerVT.
Yeah. Anything else?
Nope.
Right, brilliant. So that'll be it for today. Signing off and see you later.
Bye, everyone. Hope you enjoy the next episode.
Thank you for listening. Bye. Hi there, PNG Win here. A reminder, all profits from this series goes towards Dorco's London Marathon 2026 fundraiser, in which he is raising funds for Samaritans, a charity for people who are struggling with their mental health, offering support lines and services so nobody is ever alone. It's a wonderful cause, so please consider donating with the link in my bio or scanning this QR code. Thank you.